thank you, everybody, to all the attendees that are right here, right now. Today, I have the pleasure to be here with Andrea Alfaro, who is the Operational Excellence Manager from GHT, which is a big company in Colombia, which is working in the agro sector. Today, she's gonna share some of the information and experiences that she has had through all these, as it names and title says, learning part. Okay, so Alfaro, Andrea, sorry, the stage is yours. You can start with your presentation.
Hi. I want to first ask everyone a question. It's like, have you ever wondered where the flowers that you buy in a supermarket are coming from? Do you know what is behind all that work? How many hands do we have to hire? How many people is involved? How many jobs are involved into this flower business? So I'm going to share some of the stories. My name is Andrea Alfaro, and I'm going to talk about GHT a little bit. We are a corporation who is established to lead strategic processes. We provide support, we provide services for the network of companies and some shareholders and partners. Basically, our role is to coordinate and follow up on strategies to enhance all the operational efficiency strategies, to build economies of scales, and to be more competitive, basically across like all the industry. So we have to sustain the growth, the profitability, long-term value creation for stakeholders and for the people and the families that depends on us. So we are located in Colombia, and I want to talk about how did our journey begin. I've been in this role for over 7 years, and I have to say that the journey begins depending on the context that you're working with. So I'm going to talk about our first context, but not after. I want to say like sometimes you need to see what's your perspective. I learned this from Gustavo here in the Lean Institute in Colombia. It's like depends on where you can start. So if you see from top to bottom, let's say the managers are on top and our workers, operators are on the bottom, there are 3 ways in which you can approach the journey. So first way is you move sideways. So you have a consultant, and this person or this role moves across all the levels in the organization. There is a second way to do this journey, which is from top to bottom. So it starts with the managers. The managers are actually like lighting all this path towards the bottom. Or the most difficult one is to start from the bottom and go to the top. From the bottom to the frontline operators and managers. So I'm going to talk about this third case because it was our beginning on the journey. So first challenge, I'm going to have 2 challenges here for you guys. So first challenge is, how do you think the industry makes it for Valentine's Day? So basically, Valentine's for us is extremely important. We have to make it in USA or in the North American market, which is our main market here in Colombia. And we need for that 27,000 direct and indirect temporary jobs. I'm talking about all the industry in Colombia. Also, we need 900 million stems to be exported and 65K tons of flowers. Like, how do you do such a volume, such a number of stems? And on top of that, you have to say with this sales on February 17, if we make good sale, then it represents 30% of our financial performance. Therefore, it's extremely important. And how do we make it to Valentine's? Actually, I have to say right now we're like already working toward our Valentine's in February. So I'm going to approach this using the Lean Transformation Network because I think it's very useful to structure like what things do you need to do to make it to one of these challenges. So first, when we talk about the purpose, the first thing is like, okay, we need to achieve really high efficiencies on Valentine's Day because we need to have this profit for sure. And that we can do it with optimal labor costs. And of course, like we have to fulfill all the production program, but very important to be very efficient. So our purpose is very clear. Second, we need to do like some process improvements. So first, okay, we need to recruit all these people. How do we find ideal candidates? How do we measure their skills? And we had to do a very oriented recruiting process that gives us this result. Also, second, what do we need to do? Speed up learning curves. This is something that we always have to work on. How do we speed up learning curves? How do we achieve higher performance in the shorter time possible? Also, we have to think about our people. So we need to maximize our employee well-being, and we need to do fewer overtime hours, because it's to like have all the production, but sometimes we have to think, okay, how do we plan and how do we make it to have fewer overtime hours? Also, we need to do this standardized training and follow-up routines. And I have to say here, we've been using TWI job instruction as our main methodology to have this standardized training, and has helped a lot to have our job worksheets and to do all this methodology towards like all the worker training. So third, people. What do we have to do about people? So we need to develop skills. That's the main things. Like, how do we develop skills? How do we find enthusiasm in our workers? How do we make them enjoy the learning and be passionate? And also, we need to find people who is passionate about teaching others. Engaging in learning strategies. Now we're teaching adults about flowers, about how to do the crops, about how to harvest, how to do all these activities that are related to flower productions. Engaging learning, and we need to do like very simple for everyone, the technical knowledge and criteria. Management, what do we have to do about management? So for management, super important to have daily targets of the learning curve. Before we used to have maybe not so detailed these daily targets, but we need to have it daily. We need to make some accountability and some management over it. And we also created some standardized follow-ups and coaching, providing real help for the workers. These follow-up routines are super important for the operators, because we actually tell them how's their performance, what are they doing okay, what are they doing that has some improvement opportunities. So this is key. And the feedback as a continuous improvement pilot. So enhancing all the performance, and how do we make people more engaged and thinking about their well-being. Our basic mindset. So before all this methodology started. So we used to hire people from October for a season that only begins for us. Our shipments begin in January. So it means that we needed to have 2 months of overhead just for learning curve. So how do we make that shorter so we don't have this overhead? Also, there is a situation right now in Colombia, as well as all around the world, is that we can no longer recruit people with experience. So there is no experienced people in flowers. Actually, we have to recruit people who has no knowledge of the industry. So we must be able to train people with no experience. That's we have to train people without experience, because we can't find people with experience in the job market. Also, we want to be seen as an industry that is attractive, that we provide all the benefits required by the law. We are formal employment source, so we have this great advantage for our workers. What did we achieve? So we hire and train people with zero experience. That's amazing, because that was a paradigm before, but now we can do it. We improve up to 70% learning curve, and that means that maybe one job that could take at least 2 months to be learned and taught, now we can do it in like between 10 days, 12 days, which is like great advantage of this standardized training. We have better processes, because we're always like trying to be more efficient. So it means we have to target the time waste, and to do all the follow-up, all the training, all the coaching of the workers. And we also build, this is one of our main strategies, trainer operators, like the picture you see here. So they are dedicated to teaching, coaching, and developing skills in other peers, because they're also operators. And we reduce the long work days, which is super important to target that well-being. We learned that it's key to empower our supervisors and leaders with the responsibility as trainers. Sometimes we could see that we delegate that responsibility to other roles, to that operators that knows better or that is faster or is more efficient, but actually it's a responsibility of the supervisors and leaders to be trainers of the people. HR is a key ally. So how do we have this positive impact in the well-being in all these training programs? Training programs that also prioritize safety and occupational health from the beginning, because our jobs could be a little bit repetitive. So it means, how do we have these strategies integrated into the health of the workers? Also inform people about their performance and actively listen to their daily improvement proposals, because we're doing all the follow-up. So that becomes like a normal situation in which we do follow up, and the workers tells, okay, you do follow up, but then I need this. And another situation that happened to us is that after Valentine's, then we go back to the cows. So we prepare very well for Valentine's, but how do we maintain this in like a valley production moment? So how do we sustain this in every day? So I'm going to talk about another challenge. So then our journey continues. And also, we have to understand that the approach depends on the context. I'm going to talk about another context this time. Again, we have from our managers, our middle managers, and our workers, our operators. But this time, I'm going to talk about another approach, which is from top to bottom, in which the managers are like lighting up that path to all the way to the frontline operators. This is another challenge that we've had in our industry in the last years. In the last 7 years, Colombia has increased our planted area of flowers. Actually, we are selling more flowers. We have more demand, and we are doing great with like the product. The product looks beautiful. So we needed to increase our planted area in all Colombia from 8,000 hectares to 11,000 hectares by 2025. And how do you grow? Well, you need more companies, more employment, more jobs, and more people. And how do you have more people if you don't find experienced workers? How to grow? How to grow in this organized manner? So again, I'm going to use the LTF approach to talk about this. So how do you start company from scratch? And our purpose is to recruit and maintain highly capable workforce. How do we recruit and maintain this workforce when we have new farms and like growing operations? So what do we need in the process? So we were like targeting to have leaders and operators, because of course you need workers, you need operators, but you also need leaders. You need all the organizational structure for a new company or for a growing company. So we require leaders and operators who can perform this daily task, the daily activities in the farm, but they don't have experience. So for us, it's very key to have standardized work for everyone. It means standard work for leaders. It means the leaders also have some activities that are standardized and between them, and routines that make them follow up. Like, let's say a manager had to follow up on a supervisor. So we had to have this approach. Also, how do we build infrastructure, equipment, reservoirs, greenhouse, everything to the production plan? We do all the harvest, the cropping, what we need for this to have the right people. And to develop the best plans for the future. I don't know if you guys know, but like a rose plant could last up to 20, 25 years. So we need to have really, really good bones on the plant so they last for a very long time. So how do we do this in our farms, growing farms or new farms? What about people? So for people, we needed supervisors with great training skills, because we had to hire people with experience in the industry. So they need to be very strong at teaching others, follow up, and coaching others. Also, the leaders who support their supervisors have to be focused on the well-being and this healthy work environment, this culture of work, like healthy work environment, and the people is committed to the companies in the industry, because of course we also want to be attractive for people to come and work with us. And we have to become experts in developing specialists in our business. Management. So all the management and production follow-up meetings have to be structured by area, but level with timing. So this is like one of the keys. I'm actually showing here a small picture. I don't know if you guys can see, of a daily meeting of a supervisor inside of the greenhouses. Ouch. Okay. We also need these visual boards to have the floor meeting routines, and make sure our people knows how is the results, how are they doing. So this has been key. Resilient leaders, fully connected to the challenges of the operational growth. We have to maintain focus, because when you're growing and when you have a new farm, there's so many things to do. So how do we become fully connected to the challenges that we have day by day? Our basic mindset. So we have expert agronomists and technical staff, but we must also become experts in adapting to all circumstances. Many things happen, especially like in Colombia is a country that is on development. So we have many circumstances. And on top of that, we work with live products. So it means we also have climate change, and we have rainy days and everything. So how do we become very flexible in adapting? Visiting the greenhouses, all this like how we call it Gemba walk, is very effective, because there are things you cannot see, especially with flowers. You have to go into the greenhouses, especially with the people. You have to talk to people to achieve this success. And the key is to execute strategies with discipline. And discipline is really hard. It's really hard, but we have it as a core organizational value. We achieve well, we achieved many things. These few years we've been growing, and we have new farms, and we understand that it's not always the same. We cannot do copy paste. We have to understand the context to have some strategy that really works for that context. The managerial leadership is essential, because they are actually driving towards this challenge. So how do we rely on them to make easier the engagement across all the organization? Um, well, people enjoying learning. That's something that we have seen. So, but there are sometimes this thing of this is how it's always been done. However, in a new company, well, it's never been done anyway, because everyone is new. So this is something that we don't suffer about with new companies and with unexperienced people, because basically you're teaching them and they enjoy doing it. So we also take advantage of this. The safety and occupational health integrated into all the approach, and all the activities must be organized. Day-to-day operational effectiveness comes from this organization, especially in the agro industry. And people become empowered with their roles. And also, how do we make this like well done, these positive results visible for everyone? And we learned that developing teams is a critical steps. Also, it's very important that every individual is important, is respected. However, we still have some challenges about the turnover. And it means we have to work on the individual, but we also have to work on the teams as well, because the teams are made with individuals. So anyway, the result is everyone's result. How to create culture by strengthening the partnership with HR. HR is very important, it's in charge of people. And how do we face all this growth with new operations? Finding the right people and having them in the right position. How to sustain the standardized work? It requires discipline. So we need to have hands-on support and always a reminder, hey, the discipline to keep on with these strategies. And simplifying, thinking about how to make jobs like simple, improve it, and especially with something that is highly marginal as it works in our agribusiness. I just want to have some reflections for you guys at the end. Sorry about it. And I just want to have key success drivers for everyone to take note of that, and that I think is key for any kind of challenge or approach that you guys have. First, all the managerial commitment. It's super important because if they're committed, the person in the top is committed, then everyone else will follow up those behaviors. Second, we have to be like adapt, flexible. Our organization has to be adaptable because the circumstances could change in any minute. The technical tools are very important. How do we have the right knowledge documented, all the knowledge transfer well done, and to have the right people. Also, find the right people, train it so they become even like a very, very good asset for the company. A flexible and engaging organizational culture. What if right now what is certain is the uncertainty. So how do we become really flexible? And five, if operational excellence is not in the company strategy, these things are not going to work. So we need to have it embedded in the strategy. So for GHT, the journey begins, but the journey never ends because there's always challenges all the time. We have new things coming, and this is the way it is. Like we will never end to have challenges. The challenges of today, the challenges of tomorrow. Some have was also some future challenges. So we need some strategies to mitigate all the turnover. However, the turnover is like a worldwide phenomena, I might say. There is high labor intensive industry as ours. So for sure we have to make first things very simple and then think about automation and mechanization, because first I think we also have challenges into be more waste conscious in our operations. Labor cost and reduce working hours. I don't know if you know this context, but Colombia was one of the countries where we have our working hours were 48 hours a week, but now we have the challenge. In the last few years, next year, we have to be 42 working hours per week, which is really nice because people have more time to be at home. However, as industry, how do we become more efficient and productive knowing that this is going to happen? All the political climate, all the regulatory uncertainty, all like the situation that's happening in the world, and the impact on the environment also, raising temperatures. Sometimes we see the cycles are a little bit shorter. So how do we become more ready for these kind of situations, water resources, etc. So for GHT, we remain committed to our operational excellence. We know we'll never end. However, challenges will come if we have the right approach. For sure, we will learn about them and actually achieve the results in the end of every challenge in the future. And that's it. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Andrea. Thank you so much for all the information you just shared to us. As you said, it's a journey that starts but never ends, right? So that's good because otherwise, if we don't have problems, what else we can do, huh? Andrea, thank you. We got a couple of questions from the audience. The first one said, what barriers have you faced implementing this lean approach from top to bottom? Maybe the time or the speed of learning could be the major barrier.
From
What
top
you
to
think?
bottom.
Yeah, from this top to bottom approach. What you think?
Well, there are, well, first, if the person in the top is not convinced, it's very, very difficult.
Okay.
However, there is a way to convince, which is to show results, to measure, to show the improvements. And sometimes this approach of see to believe is, is very used. And the
Sure.
see to
Okay.
believe, yeah. Well, but in the context of showing results with data, with facts, and then they will believe. That's one approach. There's another approach. You just just take the manager from the hand and tell him, let's go to the
Let's go and
greenhouses and
see.
talk with people. Yeah, that's another approach. So that actually works really well. Well,
Yeah,
we have an
okay.
advantage is in agro industry is that people have to go out to the greenhouses. So sometimes it's just
Sure.
like, let's go take a walk and go to the greenhouse. And that sometimes often works. Yeah.
They got to do a lot of Gemba, so
Yeah,
you
we
could
have
take
to.
advantage of that. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Andrea, for that answer. We got the next one. It says, what are the economical incentive for workers in agribusiness that it's so critical? How does it fit in the Valentine's Day context? Do you have it?
Well, well, mm, I will say it's not our main priority. This is something we've learned uh, because first, more than money, I will say economical incentives. What we have is like very respectful work environment. That's the number one. We've seen that over money is if your boss talks to you nicely and the goals are clear and you can do your job easily because you have like everything that you need is actually number one. Is
Yeah.
actually more valued than whatever economical incentive. Yeah, sometimes there are economical incentive strategies, but I will say the main rule is this respectful environment, this connection with the leader, to not do overtime. Sometimes they actually don't. They will say, okay, yeah, make my money, more money, but then I cannot see my children, you know? So I will say this time management, this planning, it becomes more relevant in the context.
That's pretty nice to see this people side of people focus you got from GHT. Nice, Andrea. Thank you so much. We have 3 minutes left. Maybe we can do this one. It says if you could start over, what would you do differently? Differently. You could
Uh,
start over again. What would you do differently?
I think on this topic, um, I will say to dedicate some time to educate our managers about lean, about operational excellence.
Interesting.
Sometimes the resistance comes from like the lack of knowledge or some myths
Okay.
about something that happened before. So I will say that will be one starting point, just to do this educational first, like this kind of educational programs for our managers, so they can lead better these strategies. Because sometimes yeah, it's not about that they don't like it; it's just they don't understand it sometimes. So I'll say that. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Thank you so much. I think we got time to answer maybe one or two. It says, what will be your next lean evolution at your company?
Well, we've done something a little bit backwards, I would say, because yeah, by accident,
Yeah.
I'm closer to HR to than to other production areas. So actually,
Okay.
my boss is like HR manager, which is really strange. However, it's been an advantage because HR strategies are like everywhere. Like there's people everywhere. So I would say our next challenges is like, okay, we have this people focus. However, we need to make like stronger the process focus, like this waste reduction strategies, which will improve the process and as well improve the people's work. So this is our next challenge. It's a little bit like backwards the way we've done it, but
Okay, we got
it's
it.
worked. It's worked because we have this people involvement that which is very strong. Yeah.
Nice, Andrea. Actually, there was a comment on the audience that says human resources is the great ally in the journey of lean transformation. So I just make a match what you're doing right now, actually. So interesting view. Andrea, I think we can answer the last one. Is one left minute. It says, what practices have been key to keeping continuous improvement alive over time?
I think
What
repeating the
practices?
same,
Yeah.
repeating the same all the time. I will say
Okay.
is the number one practice.
Okay.
Just
Constance is like,
repeat it, big constancy. Just repeat the same. Like let's say TWI is like all the time we're training people TWI, TWI, and then we do this training programs that are repetitive, that are the same. We just have new students, so we just repeat all the time, repeat all the time.
okay.
Then this like be consistent with the repetition, and then you'll have some some results at the
Okay.
end.
Some results. Okay.
Yeah.
It depends of the culture also, no?
Yeah, just
Isn't
don't
it?
get tired about repeating the
Okay,
same.
nice.
Just find new ways to do it, but
Nice.
don't get tired of repeating the same.
Okay, Andrea. So I think our time is over. And again, thank you very much for your time, for sharing all this information, your journey, and this kind of different perspective from bottom to top and the other way around. It's pretty interesting for the people. A lot of people in the audience have been saying thank you very much for your work, and they hope the best for you for the future. Okay, so thank you again, Andrea. Thank you for all the
Thank you.
attendees that we had, and hope you have a good day.
Yeah, let's
Okay,
connect.
yeah, sure.
Okay, see you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.